Michael Burry, yes, exactly this guy from Big Short and one that won big betting against mortgages during subprime bubble right now, is positioning against the broad market. Does it mean that the sentiment around technology stocks will only get worse in the rest of 2023? And what's to be done for Tesla that many investors were waiting for Cybertruck rollout somewhere in the nearest future? We have barely half of the month of August, and there is still the worst ahead of us seasonally, as S&P 500 and US 100. I don't think the worst performance is statistically in the month of September, and August might be just the presage of it. Taking all of this, can this negative maintaining sentiment around stocks should push you into selling Tesla now and buying somewhere during the month of October or any other? Do we have 2 bloody months ahead? That's what we're gonna ponder over today. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we are right now jumping to Should We Be Scared for Tesla, the presentation for today. So Michael Burry sells indexes. So Burry Scion, is it Scion? Correct me if I'm wrong. Asset management bought put options worth 739 million nominal value against the popular Invesco QQQ Trust ETF put options. So right here you can find that this ETF is a US 100, also known as US 100, and Burry's Scion Asset Management right now is betting against it very heavily. Back in 2022, in August, this legend already been called a market pundit, made a pretty large call in investing that right after sold every stock he owned, and he was right about it to some extent, that he sit on his positions for longer, waiting the stronger slide downward. Unfortunately, it didn't happen, and he literally missed that rally in the beginning of 2023. So he's not an oracle type of a guy, but there is something you need to definitely wonder about when hearing calls from the guys that are ordinarily walking his talking. And what you need to consider is that the Mr. Burry still have a chance to turn to change the turn of indexes, as this is very prone to sentiment. So right now, as the indexes are very high in its valuation, and normally when it's so high, so extended, merely barely the little bad news may cause a cataclysm. So that's why you need to be very fragile, very, I would say, sensitive to this. So many may say this is huge, and you always need to follow the actions of the people, the ways, the hedge funds, just to have any chance of crushing Wall Street. For Mr. Burry, yes, it is kind of a very reasonable guy, but normally is a trader. It's a trader, so he's acting as though. After all, he's not a market wizard, but a reasonable guy and analytic, I would say. With recent crackdown on China, Michael Burry's asset management company exited its stakes on Alibaba and JD.com in the second quarter, ditching the stocks just months after doubling down on them, and it was normally looking to what happened. It was a good move, as tech giants had comprised 20% of the of his portfolio, and right after has slumped. So we can find he's quite predictive and having this analytical speculatory type of a attitude, often often giving him an edge. But what will happen this time is it time to be greedy when others are fearful then, as we do know that Tesla stock has lately had a bit more difficult time. We are just heading through a slide to 230s. Is it high 230s? Yes. So right now we are trying to just react to this previous compression zone, but still not to no avail. So it's still much more time be needed to reverse. But overall sentiment on Tesla is, as you can find right here, with grid at 65 to the overall market right now. It's very, I would say, unreasonable to bet on the companies right now with that high sentiment, as normally we do want the times when it's bad talking, and the fundamentals are still crazy and solid as you know, very solid. So when it comes to option chain, open interest for Tesla are still at higher 240 up to 260 when the higher open interest on puts, and also the highest interest rates on calls sits. So it means right now that the stock is really pumped and filled with good moods. There is a rosy attitude to Elon Musk's Tesla. So I would say right now there is not the best time to buy stock, but definitely the one that we would like to consider. But what potential reversal may is there any chance for potential reversal? We'll go through Tesla chart. So right now on a daily, we are trying to cover up this overbalanced type of a correction with this right here slide of how was it? It was around 30%. So if the type of a correction would take place this time with a kind of a flat correction right here, it may get us to around is it right one to 212, and it may also confluence with the previous highs of May. So it might be a decent time to rise from here. However, we still have a compression zone, and I would at first look for the possible signs of reversal right here with this high part of the body, this high part of the body, how it will handle to price action, and therefore the 230 is the one to look for. However, anyway, I wouldn't really bet against Tesla right now, as we are still quite kind of extended to the downside. So it's in my favor, just looking for the best time to catch on, and supposedly just sit and watch right now. I would just take this attitude for the time being. So I do expect the best type of a entrance right at the highs, maybe around this one correction mode, but we need also the types of reversals candlesticks to be formed around in order to find out where is the best place to buy Tesla. So right now, even though it's not the best time to buy the stock, I do still think there is a great time to think of it anytime soon, as the expansion seems really stable. Vehicle deliveries are rising, and revenue segments, despite some of the jolts, are still having a good time. So if we just get to another slide, we can find net income, even though it had some headwinds related to the macro in 2022, and the cash flow right now is not very maybe strong. Still, there is not many cracks in the fundamentals. So it means that normally when the stock is falling and the fundamentals still steady, you want to buy the company. So what, however, the macro data is telling us. So I do know, however, why Mr. Burry is bearish, and that's why something that may weigh on the stock market in the next couple of months. So this macro data are yet to be reset in order to have this inflation staved off. These interest rates are supposed to weigh on the valuations of many macro gauges alongside the corporate pricing power, profit margins, consumption. That's everything we need to consider as possible cooling down in the next few quarters. The interest rate that high level was previously noted just on 2007. Sorry, it wasn't even like that. We have noticed that with the dot-com bubble. So it was the entrance, literally the entrance to a more doomy period of time. So also that's why the short volatility trade is back, and those ETFs are sucking in millions. Boom triggers memories of backfired. So boom on ETFs, however, triggers memories of backfired option selling incidents, and it may get those traders may get wrong as this type of a move might be premature, but it's anyway one breed of the short volatility trade that has historically provided investors with gains, but this time may suffer a drawdown. So I wouldn't bet against the VIX that climbed of late, and it's still trading below its long-term average heading for the calmest year since 2019. So anyway, we are still in this pre-election year that normally was very good for the stock, but the first half of the year was so ecstatic anyway, so ecstatic on the markets that it just needed a cool down. So some retracement of the broad market since this beginning of August, suggesting a pause that refreshes likely occur the attitude to the market, and just making some reshuffling. So overall, the market is still looking for something that's may increase this gloomy outlook, but for now there is everything quite stable. So I want to just point out the final thoughts. So despite those headwinds in the economy, despite something that we need to consider as high interest rates, Elon Musk's Tesla is still quite resilient. And right now, will Mr. Burry impact the Tesla's price by crushing it down to the abyss? I don't think so. Mr. Burry is just managing, putting this couple of hundreds bucks against US 100 at S&P 500, but still too little to just drop it very heavily. Anyway, it may weigh on the stock anyway, but we are waiting for very important elements for Tesla, new cars, new models, Cybertruck and Roadster 2.0, and the much more yet to be discussed. So every single type of a devaluation and discount for Tesla may equal a possible tidbit for hedge funds and individual players. So anyway, you need to do your own research, but it's all of me. Thank you very much for sticking around, and we are seeing each other tomorrow. It's 8 a.m. ET time, of course. So have a great